Hi, this is Andrew for Geek News Central, and this afternoon we've got a bit of a first, well, a first for me anyway, in that we have the Xiaomi Mi 12 smartphone. It's the first time I've reviewed any of their products, and I'm looking forward to see what they offer. Now the Mi 12 is very much positioned at that kind of upper mid-range, a kind of flagship killer, to borrow somebody else's catchphrase, but priced at £649, it very much has all the features you'd expect. You've got the fast processor, it's the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. You've got the big screen with detailed PPI. You've got loads of memory. It starts at 8 gigs, goes up to 12, and you've also got the storage at starting at 128 and going up to 256. On top of that, fast charging, it's 67 watts, which should get the battery charged up really quickly. And finally, there's an impressive camera array with a big 50 megapixel sensor at the back, which is supposed to be really good for low light photography. So all in all, the specs say that it should be a good device. So let's not hang around. We will get this unboxed and we will get it all kind of spun up, and we'll see what it offers. So back in a moment. So here we have the Mi 12 all ready to be unboxed. Now this is a review unit, and it has been opened by somebody else before, but we'll just see what's inside anyway. So in here I'm going to guess there's going to be a bit of bump. You've got the SIM extraction tool. Now whilst we're talking about SIMs, the does have dual SIMs, a bit of bump, and then we have a clear transparent bumper case for the phone. Okay, I don't think there will be any surprises. We've got warranty, safety information, and a quick start guide. And I think anybody who's set up a mobile phone should be fine. So let's just put that onto one side. And here's the phone itself. Okay, so feels good. Initial impressions are good. Now it does come in three colours. It comes in a grey, a blue, and a purple. And as you can kind of see from the reflection here, this is the purple one. Now I think it feels like a bit like a glass bag. On the front we've got a Victus Gorilla Glass, so it all looks pretty good. What else have we got? A few holes around here, USB-C down the bottom, speakers, microphones there. You'll see the dual SIM slot. And yeah, first impressions are good. You can also see the cameras. So just to remind you, you've got this giant 50 megapixel camera. Now, obviously the lens doesn't really need to be that big, but even so, it is still a much bigger sensor than normal. We've also got a ultra wide 13 megapixel, not sure which one of these two it is. And then there is also a 5 megapixel telemacro lens for taking photos at a kind of 5 to 7 centimeter range. On the front side, there is a 32 megapixel camera in here somewhere. I think that's it. You can just see it there, so it's positioned up in the center. Let's just check what else is in the box before we turn it on. Okay, so we've got this 67 watt charger, which should speedily charge the 4,500 milliampere hour battery. And I'm going to guess that there is that's the kind of a USB-C. You can just see the connectors in there. I'll not bother unwrapping that. This is, as I say, this is a review unit, so they've obviously supplied a Continental adapter. I would imagine that if you're purchasing in the UK, you get a proper UK style socket, or plug rather. Okay, well, let's just put that also to one side and let's just turn it on and see what happens. I should imagine it powers up. Yep, here we go. Now it does come with Android 12, and it comes with the Mi user interface, MIUI UI 13. So we'll see how that goes. I know some people have criticised it in the past, but how bad can it be, really? In terms of RAM and memory, there are a range of options going from, as I say, from 8 gigs and 128 up to 12 gigs and 256. So there's definitely options there depending on what you want. I'm just going to connect this up to my network, so if you'll excuse me a second. Right, connect to the network, skip on to the next bit, so it'll be the usual checking everything's ready, checking there's no OS updates, all those kinds of things. Now this is a okay, well, right, well, we'll not bother copying everything across. We'll just go on to the next one. No, don't want to. Can't just. Yeah, so let's not bother. Right, well, it now requires me to sign in with my my Google credentials. I'm just going to do that. I've entered in my username and password, and it's asking whether I want to restore anything, so I'm not going to bother restoring anything. I've got all the usual things. The one I always turn off, I don't like this one here, so I turn that off. And yeah, that's all good. So let's accept that. Oh, flipping heck, choose my search engine. Oh, let's be, wow, there's quite a few in there. Let's be radical and go for, I have no idea some of these, but let's be radical and go for Bing. Okay. Continue setup. Okay, we're just going to skip over that because, okay, I agree to that. No, we're just going to leave that as it is for now, and we will let it get itself ready. So after a few minutes of thinking, the phone's got to the point where it's looking to set passwords and things like that. So I think I'm going to go for a fingerprint, as there's an in-screen fingerprint reader. Set screen lock before it. Okay, I'm going to go for a PIN. Okay, remember your screen lock. Okay, yeah, I got it. So I'm just going to put this in. Okay, so it's just giving me a warning about the screen protectors. Let's just get it. And I'm going to start logging my, oops, sorry about the reflection there. All seems to be very much as the normal thing. Done, okay, and all the usual stuff. I shall agree. Oh, the wallpaper carousel looks good. I like using a, which is this? Yes, I go for the app drawer person. That's the one. That's the kind of person I am. Setup is complete. Now it's going to start, as I say, it was the MIUI 13, if you like, launcher for look and feel for the Mi 12. It's going to sit there and no doubt download some of the apps and all that kind of stuff. It's looking, doesn't look. Yeah, well, I mean, on first impressions, that looks pretty good, pretty normal, as it were. Nothing to be afraid of. In terms of the screen, it is it has 2400 by 1080, giving a PPI of 419, which is lovely. Or you can just see it's popped up there for an update for the if you like, the firmware for the operating system. So I'll download that in a minute. As I was about to say, it's 120 Hz screen. And it is it's FHD plus, and it's 6.28 inches across on the display. Now it's not the biggest. There's definitely phones that are bigger than that, but to me, it looks like a good size. No issues there. Okay, well, look, I mean, at the risk of overextending my welcome, we'll just see what's going on here. No, everything looks okay. So look, I will just kind of work through all of those. I'm going to be using this probably now for about 2 weeks. I'm going to see how it performs, and then we'll come back with a wrap-up review showing you some of the key features. So look, this is Andrew for Geek News Central and the Mi 12. Thanks very much. So one thing I'd note, having used the Mi 12 for a little bit, is that there's often this combination of using the Play Store and some other system or some other way of getting updates for the phone. So here we have a systems update, where a system apps updater that's looking to do updates for the Xiaomi service and for casting. So I can obviously update those. Now, unlike some of the kind of more mainstream phones, these are coming presumably from Xiaomi rather than from the Google Store. So just to be aware of that, and you're going to have multiple places to look for updates. Good morning, people. We are back with the Xiaomi 12 smartphone, And I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, so I wanted to kind of just show you a little bit about the phone, the MIUI 13 interface, things like that. So here we have it here. Very much there's a kind of ongoing. It does a lot to kind of make the front screens cheerful, rotates them, things like that. So usually it seems to be lifting these from various news stories, because if you tap on them, it usually shows you where it came from. Little news down here. And that you can go on to that news story. But I thought it was actually quite a good way of giving you a bit of variety. As you can see, it doesn't stay on for very long. So let's get past this. Just sorry for reflections and things like that. Oops. So this is the default screen that you get with the 12. Anybody who's used any Android phone probably isn't surprised, but you can kind of see some of the custom utilities alongside the standard Google apps. And to be fair, Xiaomi does a number of custom utilities like this themes one, also like the cleaner. Some of them are actually genuinely useful. I also have my doubts about these cleaner apps, but you know, each to their own. And just flicking through, you know, if you flick up from the bottom, you get the app drawer, and it's very much just as you'd expect. You've got your vertical scrolling these days, things like that. And then obviously you can create your own home screens, as it were, with all the apps and things that you use as favourites. So on the whole, the app is snappy. No complaints here. Just to, if I really kind of control panel going into the snaps, you can kind of see the various settings. And this is where there is a lot of customization. Things are just done a little bit differently. So perhaps if you're used to Google devices, the about phone and things like that, it's very much at the bottom of the list. Here they have it at the top. They have some stuff, which I kind of find this strange. I mean, you've got additional settings, and you have some things like date and time just bunged in there, along with a whole load of other things, which on the whole, you know, some of these things are quite useful. There's one-handed mode. There's this little thing called Quick Ball, which kind of allows you to create little shortcuts that appear on the screen automatically. So if I come back here, I think this is it here. Here is this little Quick Ball. So you can really put him anywhere. You can't really see with my finger in the way, but you can really move him anywhere you would like on the screen. And then when you tap on him, he pops up with a, oops, if I can get it to work properly. Where's he gone? There he is. Ah! Bring him back. When you tap on him, he gives you these shortcuts. So and you know, you just tap on it, it goes back or whatever. Obviously, it doesn't do much here, but you get the idea. So there's definitely value in some of the things. There is some non-value in here somewhere. There is the equivalent of Find My Phone for Xiaomi devices. I'm not sure why you'd bother doing that when you have the Google version. I mean, it seems to work pretty well for me. In terms of gaming and things like that, performance is great. You can see you've got Fortnite things here. Just start up Pokemon Go, because it doesn't take so long. And it does rattle through things. Now you can see that there are some extra gaming tools that allow you to stop calls coming through and things like that, so you can focus on your gaming. Okay, there's my little avatar. And as you can see, really rotates nice and smoothly. There's really no complaints in terms of gaming and the performance and things like that. And to be fair, it should perform well. I mean, this has the Snapdragon, is it the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 in it, so it's pretty nippy. Everything I've tried it's catered without any issues at all. There's my first catch for the day. What else is there to say? Look, battery life is good. I definitely felt that battery life was better than average compared with my ordinary daily driver. It did charge, and let's get this right, it took 30 minutes to go from, I think it was 20% into the early mid-90s, which I thought was pretty impressive. Geekbench 5 scores do come in, I can't remember again of the figures off the top of my head, but it absolutely comes in at the top range of the Geekbench scores, so that was good there. Trying to think what else. There's some nice little special effects. If I go in, this will show you both pros and cons. One of the cons, shall we say, is that Xiaomi tries to kind of semi-preload a few suggested programs, shall we say. Now, one of the nice things about the interface is that if you try and delete things, it has this little sparkle effect. I don't know if you catch that on the video, but I think that's quite fun, and you can see all the other apps almost jumping in shock. Okay, well look, And I think that pretty much gives a good roundup of the phone. I mean, you can kind of see it in action. It's pretty nippy. Obviously, if you don't like the launcher, you can certainly put your own launcher in place as well. I did like this actually. This search for apps at the bottom. It's nice. It's too often it's up at the top or something like this, but yeah. So yes, I mean, so you get to see what the Xiaomi app is. Or you can also just see some of the controls here. Again, a little bit different from perhaps how you're used to if you're using a more standardized Google phone, but very, very workable. You've got everything you'd expect in terms of Bluetooth, locking the screen, brightness, turning your data on and off, the Wi-Fi, all those sorts of things. So, no quibbles really. There are themes, there's various other bits and pieces, but I'll let you explore those at your own pleasure. So this is Andrew for Geek News Central and the Xiaomi 12. And we're back with the Xiaomi 12 smartphone. Now, I've been using this for about a month, and I have to say there's a lot to like here, and I can very much see why Xiaomi is number 3 rather, behind Samsung and Apple in terms of global smartphone shipments. The phone itself is lovely, it's well made, it feels good in the hand. It's a wee bit thinner than some of the phones I've been used to recently, but it's still an FHD plus display. It was at 2400 by 1080, so there's no issues at all with the clarity of the screen. It does have slight curves, which I think are probably a happy medium between some of the very curved sides of some of the high-end smartphones that you see and a flat screen. So I'm quite like this phone. Sometimes I don't like the very curved sides. The phone itself is very nippy. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 in it, and everything happens, you know, at a good rate. There's no problems here at all. And if you've watched the earlier part of the video, you'll see me playing Pokemon Go. You can also play Fortnite and games like that. The cameras aren't bad. That sounds terrible. The cameras are pretty good. You can take, you've got your widescreen, you've got your wide angle, you've got your main 50 megapixel shooter. You also have a macro lens, which can be good for taking photos of flowers, of insects, and all those kinds of things. Color reproduction I thought was good. Fair representation of what I was actually seeing. And the night vision photos, some of them were really good. Only downside was that you can't get the night vision in the ultra wide. You know, so again, if you look at the full review on Geek News Central, you'll see some of those shots. Battery life was also good. I definitely felt that when I left the office at the end of the day, I kind of had more battery life than I would have had with my daily driver. So from that point of view, it was a positive. And you can get, I think, nearly, in my testing, I was able to get nearly an 80% charge. In 30 minutes you could charge by 80%. I'll put the exact figures in the video, but I thought that was good as well. It's a 67 watt charger, and you've also got 50 watt wireless charging. I wasn't able to test that as I didn't have a 50 watt wireless charger. In terms of MIUI, the kind of like the interface that Xiaomi puts on top of it, there's pros and cons. There's definitely some little items of gold in there. There's kind of some little apps, like there's this little ball that you can kind of put on the screen that, again, I showed in the earlier demo, that allows you to do shortcuts. If I go into settings, you can kind of see it's kind of quite colourful, and there are a lot of settings in there. So it can sometimes take a little time to find what you're looking for. But overall, I didn't find it as bad as some people kind of make it out to be. The one thing that I did find irritating was that some of the OEM apps have ads in them, which I really don't think is suitable for a smartphone, for a premium level smartphone. It's, you know, I expect to pay for it and be done with it, and not to be bothered with apps. One thing I do prefer is for the alerts and icons on this side of the screen to be for apps and things like that, and the ones on this side to do with the phone and the systems. So if you notice over here, I have the NFC icon. I really would have expected that to be over there. But again, little tiny things. Let's talk about price. Well, you can get the 8 gig version with 128 gigs of storage for $749. If you want the 256 gig version, you have to add £100 on that. But as a wee word to the wise, Xiaomi often has special deals. Even if I'd ordered this phone just last night, I would have got £100 knocked off it. So do bear that in mind, that if you're looking to buy this, keep your eye out for deals and don't just rush necessarily straight in there. There's definitely savings to be made. So look, I think that probably wraps it up. I mean, overall, the Xiaomi 12 smartphone it's a good smartphone. It has loads of features. It's fast, it's bright, it's got the cameras, it's got the memory, and you're paying for that kind of flagship level phone, but it's not actually the flagship. You're not spending £1,000, you're spending $749 or hopefully $649 for the base model. Okay, well look, this is Andrew for Geek News Central with the Xiaomi 12. Thanks very much.